I hope you can see my screen now. Uh, is it visible for all?
Yes, sir.
Okay, we are talking about data warehouse architecture, right? So architecture level wise, we may find different types. What is this actually? This is the method of defining the overall architecture of data communication processing and presentation that exists for end clients computing within the enterprise. Okay, but what we have exactly, we have three different types of architecture. The first one is the basic one. The second one is the two-tier architecture, or you can say that data warehouse architecture with stacking area. Okay. Then the third one is data warehouse architecture with stacking area and data merge. Means the first one is basic. We are not including any mediator between them. In the second one, we have kept a place where we will go for the data pre-processing tasks like data cleansing or this type of tasks we will do there. And the third one is more revised one, that is tagging area with data merge. We'll discuss each of them in details. So this is the diagram of the warehouse architecture basic. Okay. So you'll see, as I have said, as I have mentioned, that no mediator in between them. Means from different sources we are collecting the data and we are keeping in the data warehouse. And the end users, they are evaluating or they are just means analyzing the data that we have kept in the data warehouse from the different sources directly. So as no mediator is there, or I can say that there is no in between layer. So we will say that this is the basic or simple one. So data warehouse architecture, basic one. Okay. Then, as I have mentioned here, a few terms like operational system, flat flights, these things I think, discussed. So operational system is what is a method used in data warehousing to refer to a system that is used to process the day-to-day transaction of an organization. Whatever the day-to-day transactions are going on, we will use this operational system to refer them. Then flat files, a kind of files where transactional data is stored. Okay, and this should have a different name, like the file names you have given for suppose different three word files. Okay, you have to give different names. So different names should be given to flat files, like this one. I have shown in a table. Okay, this is a particular table. You may name it as a file one. Then, if you are keeping some different records, then that should be placed in a file with a name that is file two, like that. So let's have a brief review on the differences between flat files and relational databases. Okay, so flat file, you have seen that in a single file we have kept everything, and the file name should be different from different for different files. So a flat file database consisting of a single table. And as you know, the relational database that comprise of multiple entities, and accordingly, multiple tables may be there. Okay, you already see that different type of questions asked with respect to some, you can say ER diagrams or some means particular case you will be given, and you will be asked that how many number of tables there for that particular problem. So that we calculate on the basis of the requirement of number of entities and the relationship between them. Like this one. Here we are using three tables. Okay. So in the case of flat file, data dictionary is sufficient enough to represent them. But in case of relational database, if we want to have a good analysis, then we refer to ER diagram. And we know that ER diagram is what? ER diagram is the entity relationship diagram, which shows the relationship that exists among different entities, attributes, and relationships. Okay, so entities, attributes, these things we know, we have got it in our DBMS subjects. Okay, entity, attribute, we all know that. So, what are the advantages of flat file? Because it is very simple to create, easy to use, because you know every day you create some flat files, you just need to give a name there. Okay, So that's easy. But you cannot say that you remove the data redundancy fully from those flat files. There's no mechanism, such mechanism to remove the data redundancy with respect to flat files. But in case of our TVMS files, you already know that we have normalization techniques that we can reduce the data redundancy. Then we have some techniques to deal with data consistency, because if we deal with some multiple transactions for the same data, okay, record, then there may arise a problem that is known as data inconsistency problem. But we do have some techniques to deal with them, so that data consistency will be there. Okay, and security is maintained there. So these are the advantages with respect to flat file and relational databases. And disadvantage, the opposite one, you know that in case of flat file, we don't have any method to reduce the data redundancy. So that is a bad thing regarding these flat files. And in case of relational database, when you increase, suppose take an example, like when you increase the normalization from second normal form to third normal form to BCNF, then as a whole, the complexity will be increased. Okay, so that's the cost of it. So it may take more time to deal with such techniques. Okay, so time complexity is higher with respect to relational database. These are the means comparison between flat file and relational database. Now metadata, as you have already given a very good example regarding that metadata, I don't think that I need to explain it again. So just have a brief look on the definition part. So metadata is data about data. It tells you more. It gives more than the explanation of the semantics and the syntax. Describes all the pertinent aspect of the data in the data warehouse, and pertinent to whom, because it is primarily to the user and also developer and even project. In simple word, it helps you to understand about the different data stored in different parts of the data warehouse. Okay, because it can be thought as a container where information about other data are there. So that is our metadata. Then lightly and highly summarized data. What is this actually? We'll go through it. So the area of the data warehouse shapes all the predefined, lightly and highly summarized aggregated data generated by the warehouse manager. The goals of the summarized information are to speed up query performance, and the summarized record is updated continuously as new information is being loaded. So you know that the main purpose of the data warehouse is to what? It helps us that business analytics process. And for a business analytic process, what we need actually, we need a kind of summarized data. हमें बहुत सारा data तो नहीं है, because we cannot go through each chunk of data. We need some summarized and some level-wise data, or we can say that some subject-wise definition of that data, and that will help us to bring some new information out of it. Okay, if we apply some data mining techniques on the data that we are storing in the data warehouse, the result will be awesome. That will help you to predict something great for your company. So that's why lightly and highly summarized. Lightly because we are not going through each details. Okay, we are having some some summarized view of the original data, and also that is historical wise. Historic wise means time duration is maintained, so that we can directly pick up the data with respect to the time period we need for the analysis, right? That's what this term lightly and highly summarized data means. And user access tools, those analysis that you have just performed, obviously we need some tools to access them. So the principal purpose of a data warehouse is to provide information to the business managers for strategic decision making, and these customers interact with the warehouse using end-line access tools. Okay, like reporting and query tools, ADT, executive information system tools, online analytical processing tools. Maximum we deal with this one, OATP. Okay, and the data mining tools only when we need some more study on those data. Otherwise, we are not going to need that. If we apply them, then of course, that in that condition only, when we try to predict something for a future period from the current data. Okay, so that's data mining tools like regression, classification, clustering. That things also we can apply there. Okay, but online analytical processing tool is the what actually frequently we use that. Now, this is the basic one we have just discussed. Basic data warehouse architecture without any middleware between them. Okay, without any middle layer in between them. Now, coming to the next one that is known as what? Data warehouse architecture with staging area. In the first case, you have seen that we just place the data without minding the case that this data may be noisy or may some irrelevant data is there. Okay, so that's the main problem with the basic architecture. What we try to we try to solve that problem with this the second tier architecture of data warehouse that is popularly known as data warehouse architecture with staging area. जैसे मैंने कहा कि हमें क्या करना था वो डेटा जो आप डायरेक्टली पुट कर रहे थे उसको पहले थोड़ा सा प्री प्रोसेस करना चाहिए था राइट प्री प्रोसेस मीन्स व्हाट cleansing and I will discuss these facts when I start the basic data mining lectures. Okay, now I am dealing with the data portion. I'm focusing on the data and data warehouse. Then I come to this that part. Okay, so what does it mean? We must clean and process your operational information before you put it into the data warehouse. ठीक है जो कि पहला जो बेसिक आर्किटेक्चर था उसमें ये प्रेजेंट नहीं था ये चीज नहीं था राइट so we can do this programmatically all the data warehouse using a staging area a place where data is processed before entering the warehouse. ओके स्टैगिंग एरिया में हम पुट करेंगे जो भी प्री प्रोसेस करना होगा उसके बाद ही जो रिफाइंड डाटा होगा वो ही हम जाके डाटा वेयर हाउस में पुट करेंगे so staging area a very important term what is this staging area simplifies data cleansing and consolidation for operational method coming from multiple source system especially for enterprise data warehouse where all relevant data of an enterprise is consolidated. ठीक है तो सिंपल वर्ड में आप ये जान लो कि यह स्टैगिंग एरिया इज दैट एरिया हम जहां पे इरिलेवेंट डाटा को हटा के सिर्फ जो रेलिवेंट डाटा है वो ही रखेंगे वही डाटा वेयरहाउस में पुट करेंगे राइट लेट्स define let's have one more definition of this stacking area or landing zone देखो और एक टर्म हमने यहाँ रखा है क्या लैंडिंग जोन क्योंकि आपने देखा कि बेसिक आर्किटेक्चर में डायरेक्ट हम पुट कर रहे थे अभी यहाँ नहीं कर रहे अभी हम स्टैगिंग एरिया में उस डेटा को रिफाइनमेंट कर रहे हैं ठीक है तो इसलिए इसका और एक टर्म है व्हाट इज दैट टर्म द टर्म इज लैंडिंग जोन okay a staging area or landing zone is an intermediate storage area used for data pre-processing or during the extract transform and load process ये टर्म जो है ये बहुत बार कॉम्पिटिटिव एग्जामिनेशन में पूछते भी है कि ईटीएल क्या है ठीक है ईटीएल का फुल फॉर्म क्या है याद रखना एक्सट्रैक्ट ट्रांसफॉर्म एंड लोड पहले एक्सट्रैक्ट करोगे उसको ट्रांसफॉर्म करोगे ट्रांसफॉर्म मीन सपोज आपको सपोज जैसे आप देखोगे जब डाटा प्री प्रोसेसिंग टेक्निक्स हम देखेंगे तो एक पार्टिकुलर यूनिट में हम ट्रांसफॉर्म करेंगे वो डेटा को ठीक है और उसके बाद ही उसको लोड करेंगे दैट इज ईटीएल प्रोसेस तो सिंपल सा क्वेश्चन है कि ईटीएल प्रोसेस किस एरिया में होता है किस पार्ट में होता है staging area. ठीक है तो data staging area sits between the data source and the data target which are often data warehouse, data merge or other data repository. Data merge को अभी मत देखो अभी हम सिर्फ data warehouse तक limitation रखते हैं ठीक है So let's have a figure on this data warehouse architecture with staging area and this one is a very good diagram. See data sources operational system 2 flat files Now ये जो फाइल से डेटा आ रहे हैं हम अभी डायरेक्ट नहीं करके कहाँ रख रहे हैं, कहाँ लैंड करा रहे हैं, ये है आपका स्टैगिंग एरिया। ठीक है, आफ्टर द स्टैगिंग प्रोसेस वी आर, after the ETL process exactly, we are keeping them, we are directing the data to our data warehouse, being accessed by different end users so using some tools.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes,
Sir, I have a question.
of course.
Sir, the data source and the staging area are these two steps known as the ETL process.
No, 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 no. Actually, data sources are those sources where data is there initially. ओके, आप इस चीज से, ये डेटा से आपको एक्सट्रैक्ट करना, एक्सट्रैक्ट का मीनिंग ये है कि आप उस डेटा को एक्सट्रैक्ट कर रहे हो, राइट? बट आप ये जो ईटीएल प्रोसेस आप कहाँ परफॉर्म कर रहे हो? इन द स्टैगिंग एरिया, याद रखना, ठीक है? डेटा सोर्सेज से डेटा कहाँ आ रहा है आपका? दिस एरिया,
Staging
राइट?
area.
हाँ, वहां आप ईटीएल प्रोसेस, ठीक है, ये जो मैं ईटीएल यहाँ डिफाइन किया था, क्या था? एक्सट्रैक्ट, ट्रांसफॉर्म एंड
Transform.
लोड। ठीक है, ये तीनों एक साथ मिलके आपका एक काम हो रहा है। क्या हो रहा है? डेटा रिफाइनमेंट हो रहा है। अब पहले क्या करते थे? पूरे डेटा, you are putting all those data there, you are not just mining that this data, some of this data are relevant or some of this data is not in a proper format. These things you did not mine in the previous case of the basic data warehouse architecture. But if you are applying ETL process, now this is big, this is not no more your basic architecture. ओके, यहाँ आप एक प्रोसेस कर रहे हो, एक्सट्रैक्ट किया उस डेटा डिफरेंट सोर्स से, एक्सेस करके आप क्या किया? उसको ट्रांसफॉर्म किया, उसके बाद ही आपने कहाँ लोड किया है आपने डेटा वेयरहाउस, राइट? So that is the definition of ETL. I have kept separately a different data definition for that. I'll discuss it, but I think that this definition is now clear to you, Prabhat, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay. So one more diagram. The data warehouse. This 1:1 मतलब आप जानते हो, you know that this is 1:1 mapping. ठीक है, 1:1 mapping. ये भी कभी पूछ सकता है, अगर कॉम्प्लेक्स लेवल का कुछ एग्जाम हो, कॉम्पिटिटिव एग्जाम हो, तो that question may also be asked, what type of mapping is going on there? So this is 1:1. क्योंकि 1:1 क्यों है? Because we are putting more focus on the data on a particular chunk and we are performing the ETL process, then only we are keeping that in that data warehouse. Right. So that is the stacking process. This is one more diagram, and this is, I have kept several diagrams because this one is very important and this one is frequently asked in exam. मैं ये सोच रहा था कि इस टाइप का क्वेश्चन, इस टाइप का एग्जामिनेशन में पूछना चाहिए था, बल्कि आपको ये एक्सेल के शॉर्टकट पूछने से जगह पे आपको ये सारे क्वेश्चन पूछना चाहिए था, राइट?
Yes, sir.
तो कोई बात नहीं, नेक्स्ट टाइम. So ETL is a process in data warehousing and it stands for extract, transform and load. ठीक है? It is a process in which an ETL tool extract the data from various data source system. हमने देख लिया था बहुत different, ये data source system आपका flat files हो सकता है, कुछ भी हो सकता है, ठीक है? Then we transform it into the relevant format and we keep it or we load it in that data warehouse system. That is the ETL process. So I hope this is sufficient for today. Okay, so today I'm not going to ask, I'm not going to ask you for an assignment, but that's a simple question that is means note that questions you will answer for comment, and that is that in which cases we apply ETL technique. In which cases we apply ETL technique. Okay, ठीक है सर प्रभात?
Yes, sir. Okay, sir.
Okay, Prabhat. But please note down the class timings, not means class dates that I have taken. Okay.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay then. Thank you.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.